you feel, Rob? What's going on?
Well, obviously everyone knows I didn't get to race today, but we were here supporting Robbie Pierce and Mike Jolson and the other Mastercraft truck, and looks like they ended up getting second place. And obviously, there were speed limits here on the race course, so the typical sit and wait probably until they do all the calculations, see if there's any speeding penalties. By it looks like the unofficial winner is probably Jesse Jones. It looks like he got Robbie and Mike Jolson by about 4 minutes 15 seconds for the win, just by our calculations. And it looks like Dave Krinklaw is probably third, so just all unofficial. But we had a little incident and wasn't able to race the number 20 Rockstar Energy truck. I had been gone for the last 3 weeks. I've been back east racing the Torque Series, and drove home. We ended up, finishing second in points behind Ricky Johnson. We had an unfortunate axle break on us in Chicago, and I lost my points lead. We had a big lead, and I ended up going down by 3, and things just didn't go quite right for us, and we ended up second in the points. But been going 100 miles an hour, and come home, and the guys with Jimco, John Vance, they prepped the truck for Robbie Pierce that I drive, and they were out at the chassis dyno, on Tuesday, dynoing the truck. And actually I got home Tuesday night, so it's like, hey, let's go get that thing shaken down and driven real quick, and basically went home, unloaded my stuff, grabbed my desert helmet and desert gear, and met John out here on the far north end of the track, the asphalt road that goes out to Hidden Valley, where Best in Desert does their qualifying, or has done in the past. And I'm like, we'll just take it out here and run. And also, a bad decision, but also another thing that I heard is that that BJ Baldwin was already out here testing, which was another thing that led me to believe a little bit that it was okay to be out here. And
well, it's a spot too.
Yeah,
that everyone's been out to.
And that's
driven.
Is a bad choice. There's no doubt about that. But I was born and raised in Las Vegas. My first off-road race was in 1982, right here in this desert, and living in Las Vegas. This is where we come and test. This is our test area. So the people that live in other areas, they go to Barstow, and other people go to Placer Cities, and this is where I go. I've been doing that for almost 30 years. So making a little bit of poor judgment. We come out here and go to run around, and no intention of actually getting on the course, and just shaking the truck down, going out across the dry lake, make sure that drive shaft doesn't have any vibration. While we were out there, we ended up having a short conversation with BJ. We crossed paths with each other, stopped, talked to each other, and we both went our way. Well, when I got back to my rig, or to the Mastercraft toter home and everything to load up, the 2 BLM officials came pulling up, and wanted to know what I was doing out here. And I told them, I'm straightforward and honest with everyone, and I told them, I was out here shaking the truck down. And they goes, no, you're out here pre-running. And I go, no, I'm not out here pre-running. I've been gone for 3 weeks, and I came back and I wanted to get this done. And we outran the truck, we're putting it away, and he was pretty unreasonable, and mentioned some things that I could have killed somebody out there, and things like that. And I tried to explain to the guy, hey, look, I'm not a rebel. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not out here to tear stuff up. It's what I do for a living. It's how I put food on the table, and I'm not going to jeopardize any of that. And in Indy, I talked to the guy for about an hour, and the whole time I witnessed other people out in the desert over the BLM guy's shoulder, and I didn't turn the guy around and say, look, I'm not the only one. But after about an hour conversation, he said he'd look at this and said that there'd be possible penalties. He didn't know what they were going to be, but he was going to go back and send an email to Sal Fish. And the next morning, I found out that the recommendation from BLM to Sal was that it actually wasn't even a recommendation; it was a mandatory disqualification. And at that same time, I had heard that BJ Baldwin and actually the whole Baldwin family was not disqualified, but they were going to be penalized 30 minutes. And at the time, I'm like, what is absolutely the difference between what I did and what they did? And I don't want to drag other people into it and, make us all go down and, at worst, jeopardize the possible race happening, which is, that's all I need is Rob MacCachren, and it's definitely, I love this sport. I, had the opportunity to go to asphalt racing a long time ago and chose not to, stayed with this. The last thing I want to do is jeopardize our sport. But we ended up receiving a disqualification. We tried to do many different things. We had conversations with different BLM officials. We got Sal involved. We got even people from the hotel. Had came out and talked to the BLM officials, trying to do something. And ultimately, they did make a little bit of a concession. They said that they'd let the 20 truck, the Rockstar truck, run the race, but not me. Not in the driver's seat, not in the co-rider's seat, not anything. And, the harsh reality of things are today where, some people have said we're in a different world, but the rules, the rules that are out there have not been strictly enforced, I guess, from, some of the things that I've learned is, we're allowed to be out here, but these roads, there's speed limits on these roads. We call this where we go test, but, guess what? We can't go more than, 25 or 35 miles an hour. And, one of the big things that I see happening is the off-road community, the racers, the pit crews, and the spectators. We really quickly need to get educated on what the rights and wrongs are, and if we don't, we're done. We're going to be shut off. And I can't stress enough the part about we got to pick up our garbage. We can't drive from the pit lane across the desert to get to the asphalt road to get home. You need to stay on existing roads, and it's really a serious deal. And let me tell you, just I'm a witness of it. And I saw Casey Folks earlier today and had a 30-minute conversation with him, and pleading with him on what are we going to do to educate all of us enough to know the rules they've always been there, but they're going to come down on us now.
Right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The BLM is, obviously they're in a microscope after what happened in Lucerne Valley, and they're not going to let anything slide anymore at all. So, if we want to continue racing in the desert, we need to pay attention and police ourselves, and try to do the right things, which, I don't want to say I find it hard to do, but I just think in order for us to educate all the people that are out there in our community, the off-road community, quickly enough, it's going to be tough.
Right. Well, I mean, coming from a guy like you yourself, who've been out here forever, and you didn't even know that there's speed limits, it's going to make it even harder for anyone else that doesn't even live out here or has been out in this area before as much as you have.
Yeah.
I would never think that there was a speed limit.
No, and you know what? The reason why more I say that the rules are changed and they change quickly is because these BLM people that work this area, they've been out here watching me test, checking it out, going, holy shit, I can't believe how fast these trucks go, getting water out of our ice chest.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys know me. I mean, the guy that came and talked to me, we know each other. He's been, a BLM rec planner for 20-plus years in this area in the 80s with Walt Lott and stuff, and then he left, and now he's back. And, any guy from Vegas that's been out here testing knows and has seen a BLM official come out and talk to them.
Right.
There's other, sheriffs and people like that. They come out and check us out. I went to school with some of the guys the sheriffs that patrol this area, and they come out and say, hey, how's it going? And have you seen so and so? But now, it's not the case. They need to abide by, they need to enforce the laws and the rules that are out there. There's no messing around anymore.
Yeah, I mean, with probably the biggest thing that's happening over there in Lucerne, that's kind of what's making it where it's almost like they used you as a test ground to
example,
see
yeah.
example in
Yeah.
a sense, and it was pretty hard sitting here all day watching you on the sideline because I know it sucks for you being there, and I'm sure
this was your race to win.
Yeah, no, exactly. A lot of people, this is. Like I said, 1982 was my first race in this desert. I know it really well. The BLM was accusing me of being out here pre-running, and it's like, first of all, if I was coming out here to pre-run, we wouldn't have brought the race truck. We don't pre-run in race trucks. Right. We wouldn't have set the toter home that says MacCachren and Rockstar all the side of it right on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have done all that, So, just harsh reality. We got a lot to learn, and we better learn it quick.
Right.
That's right.
That goes for everybody, not just some of the big teams. It's everybody, because it's going to be everybody that it's going to get shut down for.
Yeah, very true. I'm very concerned, and I'm, I speaking with Casey earlier, and I'll have a phone call with Sal, but they know all the rules and laws, and somehow they need to get that stuff to us. And Casey Folks mentioned that the stipulations on a race like this is 50 pages. And he's like, how do you guys need to see 50 pages? And like, Casey, you know what? We do. We need to see 50 pages of stipulations. We don't realize, how bad it is. It's another example for me. Like I said, 82, my first race. I've seen 2 tortoises in this desert. And I think it's the same one because it's in the exact same area. Well, Casey let me know that there's actually thousands of them out here. and it's just because they're a quarter mile or they're 100 yards off the track, but there's thousands. And here I am. As many years I've been in this desert, I've only seen 2.
Right.
And it's not the case. There's an education for me right there.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know if the DQ was a result of a previous penalty that you had last year.
No, there's been a little bit of speculation, or actually the same BLM official that was out here was at the battle at Primm earlier this year when I run the 1600 car. And he's telling people that we already had a previous run-in, and I don't consider that the two shouldn't even be related to each other. But at the drivers' meeting at the battle at Primm, the race course went right up against the California-Nevada state line, and we ran a fence line there. And the rule was on that fence line is just nobody to get off. There's no passing, run right up the course. And I had come, 16. They had started. It was pretty fun. They started 3 1600 cars abreast. And we started 3 every 15 seconds. And there was 40-something cars in the class. So it was like short course racing on an 11-mile track here at Battle at Primm. And, those 1,600 cars only have 80 horsepower. They only go about 70 miles an hour, and we can actually draft, Yeah. And I was drafting day gang heading towards the California-Nevada state line, and right there about, 100 yards or so before it starts getting whoops, and she hit the brakes, and I tapped her, and when I did, she went off to the left side of the course and ended up cutting the corner to the California-Nevada state line. I went to the corner, turned, and going up, and was passing her, and she was off the course. I was on the course. The BLM official, had an issue with that and had me come to the finish line to talk about it. And, I said to him, him and the race director for SCORE, I explained the story. This is what happened. Like, what did I do wrong? And, I said I went to the fence line. I turned left. Day was off to the left of the course. And, am I the one at fault here or what happened? And at that time, the BLM guys, you know what? Now that you tell the story, you're 100% white. When I initially what I thought I saw was you off the course, not her. So everything was let go. And also I mentioned that I had a GoPro camera on my front bumper, and if you want to see my footage, I'll go get it and bring it right back. And I think those two things right there, the BLM official said, you're right. That's not what I thought I saw, but now that you say it, you're 100% right, and it was all a dead issue. So if any, I've heard from people, the BLM saying that they've had previous run-ins with me, and that is the only previous run-in that I've ever had with them. And it was, at that time it was not a problem, and maybe now it is a problem, or it's their excuse for trying to make me look like a bad guy or make an example out of me. And I can tell you one thing, I was, very upset at what had happened, and I for sure, don't want to hurt the sport doing things like that. So. Hopefully, we can all get educated quickly and continue, racing off-road desert races. I sure don't want to be limited to just racing short course races. I love racing in the desert too.
Yeah, no, I don't think the people out there, you're an icon in the sport, and I don't think people think that you went out there intentionally to try to hurt the sport. You were just doing what we've all done for the last 20 years, probably the same thing. And now it is a wake-up call for the stuff that's changing on our grounds and what we have to do. So yeah, I think. Maybe it seems like a lot too is that maybe Casey, not so much Casey, but maybe the other sanctioning bodies don't put enough effort into getting all the news out to what we're supposed to do. They're like, oh, well, only the big teams are going to be out there, and there's not enough for those teams. So. Yeah,
well, I don't want to, throw Sal under the bus or anything, but it is totally true. What was written on the paperwork for this race from Sal from SCORE was that there will be no course reconnaissance. And, the way that I interpret that, and that means they're not going to have a pre-run on Friday morning like we have had in the past. I didn't take that as there's no testing out here. I took that as there's not going to be pre-run on Friday. And, a lot of people have said I should know better, and there is some truth to that. I should know better and should think a little bit more, but I guess me being no excuse, but being gone for 3 weeks and trying to make things easy and simple with John Vance and Jimco and getting the truck shaken down, it just seemed really easy just to unload the truck, run it around, let's put it back away and be good to go. It was already tested. Mike Jolson had taken it out a week earlier and made sure that it was put 15 miles on it. It was all good to go, and I just wanted to get back in there. I haven't driven a desert truck since the Baja 500. I've been doing short course stuff, and they're a little bit different, so I just wanted to get back in the saddle and feel it and make sure everything was okay. And ultimately it ended up being a bad decision on all of our parts, and you know, it's unfortunate, you know, that we didn't get to run the race with the Rockstar Energy truck. And, you know, this is my desert, and I know it, I think, better than anyone. It's not to be able to compete in this race and have the opportunity